That's right, Micah, but the good news is that finally improvements are scheduled for this stretch of Garlington Road. Public notices are being put into area newspapers. That's going to help get the ball rolling. What's going to happen is the road is going to be widened as well as the bridge. It's all in an effort to curb accidents and improve overall safety.
This whole stretch of road between the bridge and Rolling Green needs to be improved. I'd like to see the road corrected. It's always been windy and a little dangerous.
The complaints haven't changed, but the road is about to.
Garlington Road has been a dangerous place since I've lived here.
Maudie Smith has lived off Garlington Road for 13 years and says speed, traffic, and the curve of the road all contribute to the hazards.
It's just a dangerous place because the cars coming off of Pelham Road come down so fast they come down on the yellow line.
After battling to see the road improved, a local company took matters into its own hands, putting up a sign at the very curve that has caused so many accidents.
It's just a bad place, a very bad situation.
Enough's enough.
Now the State Department of Transportation is moving forward with plans of its own, including the use of eminent domain wherever necessary in order to complete the realignment of Garlington Road and the replacement of the existing bridge over Rocky Creek. Barbara Walters has been hoping to see the road fixed since we spoke with her last July.
You don't realize when you turn off Pelham that you're going to come across a curve that's so steep and dips down, and you can lose control quite easily.
Meg Bites knows that reality firsthand after almost being in a wreck less than a month ago.
I had a friend sat next to me who sort of went, "Oh," as we approached the bridge because we didn't know whether he was going to move over in time.
And not staying in between the lines is something our cameras have been able to easily see. Now, over the last week, Greenville County Sheriff's deputies have increased patrols and speeding tickets along this stretch of Garlington Road. The next step includes 24-hour radar and speed monitoring until the actual road improvements do get underway, which they're hoping will be sometime before the end of this year.
Bernard, are they actually in the water? Are they along the water's edge? How are they looking for him there in that stream?
Well, there's a little road that has a gate that leads down to this little power supply thing. And from the way I can see, I hadn't made my way fully down there yet. But from what I can see, with the SWAT guys that came out that I followed in here, they were walking down bank. So this has a lot of brush. It's a really heavy wooded area, but it's like right behind a little power supply plant. And the choppers that are here in this area are constantly circling this one area. They've been circling now for the last 10 minutes. And like I said, I can confirm they believe that he is in this area where I am right now.
This business owner is uncomfortable about revealing his identity.
I'm a very trusting person, and my trust and belief in people is being very questioned.
This week, 2 young men passed $60 worth of fake 20s at his East Side ice cream store.
I think even though they didn't stick me up, the violation is just the same.
Someone also passed the funny money at Hairland on Whitehorse Road and a West Blue Ridge Drive Goodwill store.
Because the access people have to laser scanners and computers is beginning to become a major problem.
Greenville Police Detective Tom Troop keeps busy investigating counterfeiting cases. He recently got a call from a Bank of America. Troop says this man, Raul McKinney, also known as Terrence Roseman, was trying to cash a $12,000 cashier's check.
He was actually in the middle of a business deal, legitimate business deal, in order to purchase phones for Nigeria, and he had no idea that this check was counterfeit.
But key questions couldn't be answered. Plus, the name Nations Bank raised questions.
We know Nations Bank has changed to Bank of America.
The man behind this check got put in jail. The owner of this ice cream store wants the same outcome for the 2 men who ripped him off.
Days of undercover work paid off for sheriff's deputies at Butler Springs Park late this afternoon. We can't show you the faces of the undercover officers, but deputies say this man exposed himself in the bathroom and was none too pleased to be busted.
From what my officer said, they told him or advised him that he was under arrest.
Oh, look, we got another car coming.
When that happens, we have no choice but to protect ourselves.
25-year-old Jamal Williams of Greenville is charged with exposing himself to an undercover officer. He also faces drug charges, including intent to distribute within a half-mile of a park.
How long have you had this happen?
In this case, deputies called for backup, and officers say this arrest wasn't typical of many made at the parks.
Normally it's local people or people that are just normal, everyday people.
Shortly before Williams was taken into custody, officers arrested 75-year-old James Elmore Jolly of Greenville after meeting him at the park. He, too, is charged with exposing himself to an undercover officer. Since Fox Carolina's undercover investigation began, 16 men have been arrested in Butler Springs and East Riverside parks in Greenville County.
It's just a bag.
In recent weeks, we've seen a noticeable decrease in cruising traffic while watching the parks.
I think it's slowed down some. I think with the weather, they'll be back, and we'll be back too.
I wasn't thinking. I wasn't using my brain when that all happened.
Thrust into the world of me first to me last.
I like my life too much like it is right now, so I can't have a baby in there.
Sleepless nights. It's never-ending spending money. Kids have no idea the kind of money that goes into raising a child.
Every year in the state of South Carolina, hundreds of teenage girls and boys become mothers and fathers. Meet Candace McConnell. She's 18 years old, not quite finished with high school, and...
Oh my gosh, I'm having a baby. I was just shocked. It was just, whoa.
Candace let us see her through the process of having a baby. You're meeting her just days before delivery, and the consequences of her actions weigh heavily on her mind.
I went and took 3 tests, actually, and the first one was a dud. Nothing showed up on it, and the second 2 came out positive.
So, how is she going to take care of her baby and herself without a high school diploma and no job?
It's just something you have to live with. You carry on, you know. Life goes on no matter what you do, you know, so you have to deal with it.
And she'll be dealing with it without her boyfriend. Candace says he didn't even want to come to the hospital.
I grew up in the church, and I was raised in the church, and I was taught that sex before marriage is wrong.
But like so many other teenagers, Candace wasn't necessarily thinking about right and wrong before she got pregnant. That's something Carrie Urim sees a lot.
It's really hard to think ahead and think, the person that I'm in love with when I'm 17 is more than likely not going to be who I'm going to marry. So I've got to take into consideration that we've got to work out custody, we've got to work out visitation, we've got to work out financial arrangements.
And 9 months later, Candace has no other choice but to think about her actions.
Nervous, scared, everything, excited, ready.
This is the moment of truth for Candace. She's only hours away from bringing a new life into this world.
Hard, really hard, painful, but I'll get through it.
This is another reality of having a baby that so many teenagers don't consider. But it's just one more consequence of becoming a premature parent.
In a developing story, politics tonight for you. Vice President Biden has pledged tonight that action will be taken to curb gun violence. And today, the Vice President heard personal stories of gun violence from representatives of victims groups and gun safety groups as part of a series of meetings in Washington to develop policies on gun control. The Vice President is leading the task force, which was formed in response to the elementary school massacre in Connecticut that left 26 people dead last month, including 20 young students. He says the goal is to prevent another tragedy.
Just, every once in a while there's something that awakens the conscience of the country. And that tragic event did it in a way like nothing I've seen in my career.
Representatives from the National Rifle Association and Walmart are expected to attend tomorrow's meeting, and President Obama has also vowed that the task force will provide some concrete plans to help reduce gun violence by the end of the month.
A Georgia lawmaker is proposing a bill to allow school systems to choose whether their principals carry concealed weapons. Republican State Representative Paul Battles says not every district has the money to hire school resource officers. He says it only makes sense that they should be able to choose if their principals carry a weapon. The Georgia Association of Educators says they'll be lobbying against the proposal. And staying in Georgia now, a police department in Fulton County is having a hard time getting their hands on ammunition right now. Authorities say suppliers just don't have enough bullets to go around. The shortage is having an impact on public safety.
Putting that pen to paper in the Fox Carolina Sports Blitz, you could call it the Super Bowl of college recruiting. Of course, this is National Signing Day, a day when high school seniors realize their dreams of playing a sport at the next level. And Clemson football coaches very excited about this year's class of 23 recruits, which features some of the nation's most talented players. That includes 5-star recruit Mackenzie Alexander, a cornerback from Immokalee High School in Southwest Florida. He was ranked as the 4th best player in the nation by ESPN. Another big highlight today, the signing of defensive back Corin Wiggins out of Durham, North Carolina. Wiggins actually committed verbally to North Carolina, but instead signed today with Clemson. And Clemson ended the day with a major signing. There he is, Tyrone Crowder from Rockingham, North Carolina, the nation's 2nd-ranked offensive guard.
And we got a top 15 class in the country coming to join a already very, very talented football team, a group of guys that could have gone anywhere from Southern Cal all the way to Florida and everywhere in between.
And thanks to that strong finish today, Clemson moved up to 13th in ESPN's latest recruiting rankings. And also the Tigers signed 2 outstanding players from nearby Daniel High School, Shaq Lawson, who played defensive end, and DJ Greenlee, who suited up at Daniel as a linebacker. And football player Ben Boulware was one of the many athletes who signed their scholarship offers today at T.L. Hanna High School. Boulware did sign with Clemson. ESPN listed him as the 3rd best inside linebacker in the country. And Boulware, of course, played his high school football just down the road from Death Valley, and he admitted today it is a dream come true to play for Clemson.
I've been busting my butt for the past since 7th grade to get to this point, to finally get this Clemson offer. And the fact that it's finally here now and I finally put my name on the paper, I'm so excited.
And, you know, National Signing ain't not just about football. Also signing today at T.L. Hanna, Michael DeRozzi, who will be running track at the College of Charleston, and also Chelsea Drennan, who will play soccer for South Carolina. Congratulations to them. And the South Carolina football program announced a class of 21 recruits today. The Gamecocks didn't land any 5-star athletes this year, but Coach Spurrier is happy with a group that is ranked 17th by ESPN and includes a number of 4-star players, including the nation's 10th best defensive tackle Kelsey Griffin from Buford, Georgia, and also David Williams out of Philadelphia. He was rated as the nation's 11th best running back.
David Williams from the Philly area. Yeah, we're high on him, and he's going to come in, have a chance to compete right away. Kelsey's a big defensive lineman, and you always got to have those guys. So.
Yeah, and one of the Gamecocks' newest recruits is actually a familiar face who has ties to the upstate quarterback Ronnie Martin out of Spartanburg High School, originally signing with USC back in 2011, but he attended Georgia Military College the past 2 years, but now heading to Columbia to play some college football. But you know what? Not all the upstate stars stay in this area. Gaffney defensive end Jalen Miller was considering offers from 6 different schools, but in the end, as you see there, he decided on Tennessee, even though the Volunteers have a brand new coaching staff after firing Derek Dooley.
The new staff just makes you feel more at home and makes the school feel more like it's the school for me, and everything that has to go along with committing to Tennessee.
It was a crowded gym today at Gaffney High School. Defensive lineman Rod Oglesby and linebacker Rico Smith signing with Limestone College. Defensive lineman Russell Hughes and offensive lineman Don Manning committing to Gardner-Webb, and offensive lineman Kerry Williams headed to Alabama State.